Live from Las Vegas, this is NAB Show Live.
I'm Ryan Salazar coming to you from the 2018 NAB Show. We're having a super fun time. Is everybody having a blast or what? All right, lots of fun toys, lots of great software, big announcements at the show. And right now, we're going to talk about working in the cloud, Playout from the cloud, guys. Don't jump, take the stairs. All right, so that's the title we have. So our first guest is Matt George, Senior Manager of Solution Marketing at Equinix. How you doing, sir?
I'm very well.
All right,
nice to be here.
so let's talk about what you do in your position at Equinix and what you guys do as a company.
Sure. So Equinix is a global interconnection platform. And what that means is across the world we have around about 190 incredibly large, well-connected data centers. And within those locations, companies across all sectors, but in the media and broadcast sector, will deploy, they will connect to cloud providers, ISPs, basically anybody that within their ecosystem that enables their business in digital transformation.
All right, and we have John Louis Lawitz, Senior Vice President of Technology at DMC. So if you could tell me about yourself, sir.
Yeah, my focus as SVP is looking at the future and what it is that we need to be doing. We've done a lot of innovation in the last 3 years in building a private cloud solution for doing Playout, but we really are an end-to-end media logistics company doing from compliance, aggregation, compositing material right through to the publishing, doing the linear Playout, but also a lot of on-demand and so forth. So we're an end-to-end solution for third-party clients to publish their media to the consumer.
All right, and we have Ian Cockett at CTO at Pebble Systems. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, great, thanks.
It's great to have you. You're no stranger to NAB Show Live and broadcast speed. It's an honor to have you. So you guys actually work together all the time, right? So let's just talk about that workflow and how you do it and what you're doing. Let's talk about the data center end of it first.
Okay, so we're probably, I suppose, the way to describe it is the base of it. The physical infrastructure that DMC have sits within our facility in Amsterdam. So we provide that structure. The technology that enables that is behind it is Pebble Beach. So that's really how it starts. So from a location point of view, with our footprint, what that enables is where DMC want to operate from. It's scalable, so they've started in Amsterdam, they're also connected with us in London, and as I said before, from a global perspective, how their business grows, we can support it.
All right, so what are the differences, Ian, between public and private clouds? How does a broadcaster choose?
That's a great question. I mean, it's one of the things we end up asking questions. If people say cloud, what do you really mean by that? Because it means different things to many different people. So typically, in public cloud, the name people most associate probably is with Amazon, AWS, Google, and so on and so forth, where you can actually pay for services as you go. Pay as you go, pay by the hour or whatever. Private cloud could mean many things. It could just be a data center that an organization owns and is built up on site, or it could be a provider of enterprise-grade, huge, big data centers such as of Equinix, who already have the connectivity, all the fiber in the ground, all the connections with the rest of the world and the internet, who can provide you with space to deploy your equipment rather than in your own building, actually deploy it inside of somebody else's building. So instead of paying for power and cooling yourself, you're basically paying somebody else to do that for you.
Yeah, and I remember a friend of mine worked at a Playout facility that was part of the Cisneros network in Miami, and I remember seeing hundreds of Playout stations. This is years ago, guys. This is before Channel in a Box and Playout on the cloud, and it's just amazing how it's evolved. Let's talk about the evolution of all that.
Oh, it's huge, absolutely huge. If you go back to my first days in broadcast, automation software first started automating cart machines and playing out from tape. Right. And really that's evolved all the way through to just playing out from a piece of software. And that software needn't be in your own premise. It can be on somebody else's computers, and it's obviously a big decision for somebody to.
I mean, I think if you look at the journey that we went on, traditional on-prem infrastructure, we had 120 racks right next door to our Playout, MCR operation. And now we've gone down to 38 racks, in a completely virtualized, software-defined.
Oh, sure. You can't even begin to imagine the electrical load that you're taking up and the cost.
Exactly. So there's massive savings there. But in our journey there, we had to look at how does a public and private cloud benefit us. So when it comes to giving clients access to their media, that's where we use the public cloud. But when we want to manage enormous volumes of content, we have 15 petabytes of spinning disk, you don't want to be ingressing and egressing that much content in and out of a public cloud. And that's why building a private cloud in a data center like Equinix is the perfect opportunity, because the great connectivity that they offer as a marketplace allows you to then deliver your content across Europe. I love that Equinix is saying is 80% of Europe is 50 milliseconds away from their facility in Amsterdam. So for us it was all about how do we maximize the return on the investment within a private cloud infrastructure, but benefiting from that cloud-aware Playout technology.
All right, so how do we get all the necessary tools virtualized? And a great example of that is graphics. So what about the needs for GPU acceleration? I'm thinking render farms in my head right now. But,
it's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, graphics really does scale, and if you're looking to do simple graphics, you don't need GPU acceleration. But as soon as you enter into doing 3D animations,
of course,
then you need to offload that into a GPU. And what we've built is all super micro infrastructure, and every server's got a GPU board in there, and we can just slot that in as we need to be elastic on those types of services. But it's all virtualized using a combination of Red Hat. When we started the journey, we really wanted to focus on using open source tools as much as we can, but we saw on some of the mission critical applications that we needed to use VMware to make sure that those 25 frames per second were going out as our customers require.
Okay, if you could just get in a little bit, a surface, right, like from 30,000 feet up, just talk about your infrastructure a little bit at your place and how it talks to his place.
Yeah, great question. So the 38 racks that we've got there is predominantly all servers and storage infrastructure. There's a little bit of dedicated kits there, mainly for about getting signals out and managing those services out. What we rely on these guys for is, power, aircon, the infrastructure to maintain the service. That wasn't core to our business. You're a media facilities. These guys are fantastic at providing that infrastructure to keep it running. UPSs and generators, we don't really want to know about that. So that's where Equinix kicks in.
I think also they give you physical security.
Yeah, sure.
You've made physical security somebody else's problem by they own the fences, they own the access systems, the cages around all of your kit.
Of course.
So effectively you can leverage that. You're not having to have all of those skills and all of those in-house resources. Let somebody who's an expert in security do that for you, and it's one of the big appealing things.
So to pick up on that, I think the huge benefit of the precise skill sets or the economies of scale you get. If you instead of just seeing a data center as a co-location facility, it really is like an aggregated connection point. So instead of every individual company having to have connections to every single cloud provider or network, it's a bit like an airport, yeah? If you want to make the right connections, you want to go to more places, you go to a big airport or a big hub. So if you use that analogy, that's really what Equinix delivers across every one of its locations.
All right, so any further advice that you guys can give to broadcasters thinking about cloud playout, evolution or revolution?
Great question. I mean, we've been on a 3-year journey to get where we are, and it's been running for a year now. So we're very proud of the fact that in terms of scale, it was one of the first to do that. People is critical. There's a massive change in the skill set about what you need to run in the traditional broadcast SDI world to how do you manage this all IP infrastructure. So we've scaled up massively on the talent to run that cloud infrastructure. Secondly is, what's the scale that you need to be doing this on, and, why virtualize it and so forth. So thinking about the application and how do you as services change, what do you use those resources for? If you're building a private cloud, it's a little bit different than public cloud because you can automatically scale that up and down.
Okay, so Ian, I'm just curious, for the folks that don't understand Cloud Playout that well, and I'm sure a lot of them do, but just talk about how you're getting the actual physical playout to the broadcaster, to where it needs to go.
So I mean, one of the key things about DMC, they're a service provider for many different customers. So one of the bits that makes it difficult in some ways is that everybody wants something different. The whole industry is a bit like that, you know, even though you've been doing it for a lot of years, you end up with never almost delivering the same thing twice. And so one of the things we're able to do is that even though different customers have got different requirements, we can actually modify the way we put together the software pieces and actually do really quite radically different things. So that might be a channel that has multiple simulcast channels, so SD, HD, or other customers might need regional variations, or a huge thing over in Europe is a whole multilingual workflow where we're not just dealing with you know, content in English or maybe English and Spanish. Some of these guys' customers have upwards of 10, 15, 20 different languages. Multiply that by surround sound, Dolby, versions of all of those, it really gets quite big. So being on a data center platform really enables them to cope with best case, worst case scenarios and deal with all that huge variety there are between customers, but it's all on the same platform. They're not having to reinvent the wheel.
I mean, and to take that further, you know, today we can launch a channel in a couple of hours because you know, the template to spin it up is all there. The question about bringing that channel to market is where's the content, where's the schedules, and where does it need to be delivered to? You know, often we've got the content, a new channel will be a derivative of what we already do. The distribution model is getting much easier today. You know, the managed fiber is often in place, but if not, you can use unmanaged networks, the internet, to get that out, you know, with some boxes at the remote end to manage the security around that. So,
and
really,
isn't it amazing how you can just turn up a channel like that right now? Like I know that I was watching the Olympics at home and I'm changing the channels and there are all these channels with the Olympics with all the different games going on. And sure, lo and behold, I hear that a bunch of channels were spun up to make that happen.
And after the Olympics finishes, the great thing is you can then shut those down. You're not paying for power, you're not paying for cooling.
Exactly.
You can ramp up and down.
The interesting thing about that, and picking up, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, how the broadcast industry is accepting now that cloud is the way forward. So Discovery Communications are also one of our customers. So you start to see how, you were talking about the Olympics, they own the European rights for the Olympics now. So by popping up those channels, by using a data center platform as well, you start to see again how all of these companies are interconnected. So whether it's you know, a broadcaster that's creating content, whether it's someone that's distributing content, there's a lot more collaboration that the industry's accepted now.
Right, so let's just talk about your offerings so folks can understand Pebble Beach Systems a little bit. Your suite of products and maybe how these guys are taking, well, how he's taking advantage of them and that they're in the facility, of course.
Well, really, the product we're talking about when we talk about data centers is called Orca, you know, the big whale. All of our products are sea-themed, as you well know. And really, Orca gives customers that scalability, that flexibility to run purely as a piece of software. There is no proprietary hardware at all in that solution. It allows you to run 10, 20, 100, 200 channels with a bat of an eyelid, and literally it's just a case of asking these guys, can we have some more machines, please? And we're able then to deploy our application, start up new services on those channels. I think it's quite an interesting point that, you know, sort of 10, 15, 20 years ago, these guys might have had a deal with a content owner for maybe broadcast my channel for the next 5 years or the next 10 years.
Right.
And that was long enough to go and build your own facility, pay back that money. And really, in today's market, the economics have changed hugely, and some of those contracts have come right down. And you know, if your business is changing and you need to be able to collapse as well as expand, I think it's an important part of the offering is, well, what do you do when you know, you maybe lose a contract and you have to contract. It's not just about, you know, world domination and growing, launching new channels. It's the opposite as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know, our mindset about building this was always based on, you know, should linear, in the scale that it operates today, fade away and it becomes more about processing media for on-demand, you know, how do we repurpose those CPU cycles for doing more of those types of activities rather than the linear? So that was always the concept from the beginning in building a private cloud.
Do you have to deal with dynamic ad insertion at all? Just a surface question.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. One of the things that obviously the amount of ad revenue that exists is kind of somewhat finite and competing with web. So one of the way people are trying to do that is, well, actually, if we can do more targeted ads, we can have more regional variants of that for either different countries or different areas. So rather than actually seeing a decrease in the number of channels, actually from our point of view, from an automation point of view, we're having to deal with more stuff, because when you go to that break, you're actually doing more variants of that. And again, it's another area where the cloud platform scores really heavily, because it's very easy then to add those extra channels in. You don't need to go and add more racks, add more power, add more cooling. You just pay somebody else to do that.
So what does that mean for you guys? How quickly can you spin something up so he can get more, scale something out?
Well, I think when we talked at the beginning about just having that availability, firstly, of just pure space that these companies don't have to worry about, because it's provided by us.
All right, well, real quick. So with that said, I'm just curious. Do you have any idea offhand, off the top of your head, what kind of storage you guys are utilizing?
Yeah, we use...
Like the actual amount of storage?
Yeah, we have 15 petabytes of...
Oh, you might have said that earlier.
Yeah, 15 petabytes of disk. And there we're using open source, so it's Red Hat Enterprise, which is the cluster storage. And, you know, importantly for us, it's about moving content efficiently within that environment. So having a massive scale-out storage infrastructure really
here I am thinking 86 terabytes is a lot for NAB Show Live here, but wow, petabytes.
Yeah, 15 of them, yeah.
That's amazing. Well, so you guys have such an interesting project that you're doing together, and thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really appreciate it. Again, Ian Cockett, CTO at Pebble Beach Systems. It's been great having you here.
Thanks,
do you have your website handy offhand for everybody?
Yeah, it's pebble.tv, so easy to remember.
Pebble.tv, we know you very well. Thank you so much. Jean-Louis Lauds, thank you so much, sir, SVP of Technology at DMC, and Matt George, Senior Manager, Solution Marketing at Equinix. Thank you so much, guys, and have an awesome NAB show.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back in just a few minutes.